everyone. My name is Ida Prahat, and welcome to Cosmic Brew. Tonight, I have a special guest, Mr. Christopher O'Connor. Welcome, Chris.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for. I'm so excited to have you, and people will know why shortly. But thank you so much for coming on.
Of course.
I'm really excited to hear what you're going to be sharing with us tonight. I'm going to share your bio, and then we'll open it up for you to expand on. Yep. So in 1970, at the age of 2, Chris was taken by Earth military forces, and age progressed to his mid-20s to serve 3 consecutive 20 and back terms of duty. While in service, Chris worked on the Saturn moon of Mimas, if I said that right, which is a space station residing in the 8th density. His expertise was in telepathic and empathic communications of many. I'm sorry, I can't see with the lighting. Okay. Bear with me, guys. I appreciate your patience. His expertise was in telepathic and empathic communications of many varied species of beings from throughout the universe. While in service, Chris met with many species of beings and assisted in an official capacity to negotiate agreements and develop intergalactic relations with non-Earth-based races. While in service, Chris was exposed to work directly with highly advanced technology, which was traded with Earth-based military forces. Chris has brought back the technology and has started a company called the Deems Company and has recently released a product called the Deems Device. The Deems Device is a handheld magnetic device that is excellent for relieving pain and encouraging cellular regeneration. The Deems Device is often used for energy balancing of the meridians, chakras, energy centers, and the nervous system in both humans and animals. Chris is also developing new technology soon to be released to the public to assist in healing and pain reduction. Lovely. I mean, I apologize. I got a little tongue twisted with that. But I'm so excited. So just so everybody knows, I am a Deems lover and customer, and I highly recommend, and you'll hear more about it in just a bit here. Chris, welcome to the show. Can you share a little bit more about your experiences in the SSP and when it started for you, your memory, and you know what's brought you where you're at today?
Well, that's a big question.
Okay. Well, I'm ready to listen, and I'm sure when those that either join or watch the live, they'll appreciate hearing what you have to share.
Yeah, you know what all you said was true and correct. That in 1970 I was 2 years old, and I was taken by military forces here on Earth, and I was age progressed, and I did have that experience, and it was traumatic, of course. But the one thing I do try to tell people is that I had planned this prior to my incarnation. It was an agreement that my soul family and myself made with the Earth U.S. military, because that was they were going to trade some information, and I was going to be of assistance to them. And it was mainly for the first 20 years. I was with the Earth U.S. military. And after that first 20-year term, I'm basically moved up to working with the United Nations, but it's not the United Nations most people are aware of. It's one that is more off-planet based. And they work with all sorts of races, and so that's when I left Earth and went to Mimas, which is the first moon of Saturn. Right outside the rings of Saturn is Mimas, And like you said, when you look, if you were to see Mimas, it's interesting. It looks just like the Death Star, and the strange thing is the Death Star from Star Wars. The strange thing is that the Death Star from Star Wars came out 3 years before Mimas was discovered. And the reason I bring that up is that's part of the soft disclosure. That was the set plan, that they would, forces would influence, George Lucas and the designers of the original Star Wars and the design of the Death Star. So it's like a little clue, that's what they do. They leave little breadcrumbs all along for us and they can't really abridge the free will of people that don't want to know the truth. So they just leave information sitting out, and then they allow us to come to our own conclusion. And so in this density, say in our third density, the moon of Mimas looks just like a rocky planet, or moon, which it is, just like our moon. And just like our moon, Mimas was actually a natural body that was manipulated and turned into a space station. But our moon only really resides in a couple of densities, like third, fourth, fifth density. But Mimas resides mostly in the eighth density. And people have asked, if you're a third density being like myself, we have a ship from Earth, which is a third density ship, goes to Mimas, which is in the third density, a rocky moon. How do they possibly interact with it? Because all they see is a rocky moon.
Right. Right.
It's logical.
Right. You took it out of my, right. I was going to say logical. It's fascinating. Yeah.
So what people aren't aware of is that the ships that the U.S. government and other governments from the Earth have now have what they call, or what I remember calling, a density engine. Now that density engine creates a skin around the whole. So there's a propulsion engine that's in this ship. It's a ship that can travel from Earth to Saturn in just a few moments. But they also have what they call a density engine. And that density engine creates a skin around the whole ship. It's like an electromagnetic skin. So it's like a field around the ship, just a few inches thick.
Yeah.
And they can adjust that field to different densities. So when they'll go in, they'll fly in their third density, ship, gets to a Mimas. They then turn on this density engine, adjust it to the eighth density, and suddenly they can see that the moon is now really a space station, and they can dock with it. And as long as they're docked with it and that density engine is on, they can remain there for however long.
Absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. So that's how you interact.
It's true though. Saturn has lots of moons. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, quite a few.
Yeah, I'm not well learned in space kind of stuff. So yeah. I'm getting more familiar, but that's pretty fascinating. So Mima, so go ahead. So what were you doing on Mima?
Well, Mimas is basically,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, just imagine Mimas as a massive station that can accommodate many densities. Because there's density engines in Mimas itself. So different sections. So there's, say with Earth, we came in, we have a ambassador, we have a whole cruise of people there, but we are in a certain section of the space station, and within that space station section we have a density engine that surrounds, like a bubble around that section that's controlled. It's not necessarily round. And what they can do is select the density so that a third density entity can live in a third density environment in an eighth density space station. Or it could be any density.
Sure.
And so that's how multiple densities can live in one space.
Well, I mean, I can appreciate that because, well, we know that there are different, even, so people talk about the third, fourth, fifth density on up, but there are also densities within each density.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, there's so I mean, that would make sense. But my question bigger than that is, what were you doing there? What was your yeah? I mean,
yeah. There's these deer outside my window right now. So
I love that. Yeah.
like they're looking at me like, yeah, I'm just talking, don't worry about it. So
It's lovely that you have that kind of
I do. Yeah, it's quite wonderful. I love nature, so being in it's really nice. My job basically while I was on Mimas I did the job of like an ambassadorial job. I don't remember being an ambassador, but I kind of did that type of work. And what I did was I worked with other races. And the reason the Earth military and the Earth factions had me there was because my native race is really good with telepathy and with empathy. And so we could be in a negotiation in a like a boardroom, and I could tell, empathically, how the other race is coming all along, and that are they upset, are they happy, and it's not really abridging them because I was often communicating with them during the meeting. And some of the higher density races would be so funny. They would be telling me jokes, and I'd be trying not to laugh because I would get in trouble if I laughed.
Yeah.
They're trying to break me, just saying funny things or just, very dry sense of humor.
Distract you?
Yeah. Pardon?
Yeah. Distract you?
Well, not in a bad way, just kind of in a, you're kind of poking somebody a little bit, just making fun and having really just having fun, because they know they could do that with me and I wouldn't get upset, and I could, vice versa, I'll communicate with them in a way as well. So, but often they would give me messages or tell me things. Now, they didn't all say things where I could hear their voice in my head. Many races did that. But also there's races that really don't have a verbal vocabulary or even like a written vocabulary, especially the races that came up and maintained sort of a form and a thought form of, say, like an animal. Like I knew some races that were like lions and cats, and some were like dogs, some were like monkeys, so they often had a language that was in images or emotion or colors, or you just sometimes a combination of sounds combined with words, and so they were all very different, and so that's what I was trained
light language. Did you ever communicate in light language?
Well, light language, yes. That's part of the color spectrum that I was talking about. Okay. It's just like light language it's sort of like star language. Star language is more of a verbal language. Light language is colors and light flashes and in ways that bring in an emotional response to you because they want to get you to an emotional space. Then you have to do a lot of thinking and try to figure out where we are right now.
Well, let me ask you this, Chris, because you just made me think about this. So there are many people that propose doing light language. I mean, it's all over YouTube and different places, and they're making sounds and doing all this stuff. And I don't connect with that. So I
Yeah.
some of it's really beautiful though, like some of the, yeah.
Yeah, I think mainly what that is they're confusing a star language with a light language.
Okay, fair enough.
Star language is more okay. I was raised fundamentalist Christian, and we would be in front of the church, laying on of hands, speaking in tongues. Okay.
Okay.
What they didn't know was tongues was star language
Okay.
because it comes in, free and you speak freely and you don't know what you're saying.
Right.
That's star language. Light language is images.
I got you.
And
Okay,
mostly
I'm glad.
colors
Thank
and
you
light.
for clarifying that, because I think, people are going to be, when they listen to this video, maybe it's going to give them some perspective and a better understanding, because I thought light language was what I was observing on YouTube and other, and so I appreciate the clarity. I know now.
There's a lot of things that's part of the issue with Earth and not really being in direct communication with off-world sources right now, is that there's a lot of things that are very similar and that kind of the wires get crossed a little bit. But really, being open to anything is really the key,
Sure.
So if you look at it like lightweight language and it's technically star language, it's okay. Who cares?
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, yes, who cares? I mean, but for somebody that's really trying to be clear about it, I mean, I like to be very clear about and I love to learn. So okay, so they were picking at you, getting you to laugh, and then what? What were you going to say?
Well, just basically that was my job. My job was I would have superiors in the military with me, and the military could be the military of the United Nations or United States military, because I worked with all of them. And I was basically there while they negotiated a contract or an agreement. I was just there to monitor and report to them. Like, for example, the one that sticks out most in my memory is when I was speaking to this race of beings that the Dark Fleet humans, they've left Earth a while back, and they don't really work with the United Nations. They're all doing their own thing. Well, they do kind of bad things. They went to this one planet, and they wanted some of their resources. Now, I believe the resources they wanted was quartz, but it could have been another mineral. I don't remember exactly, but I thought it was crystals or quartz. And this race didn't really want to give it to them, especially the way they wanted it, cheaply, the way the Dark Fleet wanted to get it. So the Dark Fleet took it anyway and ended up killing about 300,000 of these beings. Well, the problem with those things, and this is why I tell people, you got to get along and stop judging one another, because other races look at every single Earth human as part of that race. So this Dark Fleet going off and doing bad things, you and I are held responsible for their actions in the eyes of the Federation and all other outside races. But it's the same for them too, because they're like, if you can't control the members of your race, and they're off doing bad things, then you really aren't evolved.
Well, I would agree with that statement. I mean, I could take that to a whole nother, we could maybe do a second show on that, because well, I will say that you're probably, if not the most, your energy is very lovely, Chris, and it really is. And your demeanor and your attitude about your experiences, and having, you had said in the beginning that it wasn't all, you went through some traumas and so forth, but it looks like you've really come out the better end of the and have been able to heal from that. And I think that's lovely. I mean, part of my reason for coming, because I was very vocal when I first had my awakening in 2011 and went through, I was using, well, I'll say my lab abductions. I don't know. I was told that I did 220 and back. I don't believe it was off world. I believe it was right here on this planet in another maybe parallel reality, or I don't know. I mean, I'm not clear on that, and I'm getting more clarity, or doing my best to uncover more in me. But back to what I was intending to say is that I think it's so important that more people do that kind of healing for themselves, to release and let go of the anger, including myself. I mean, I've come a long way, because I was not a very happy person being targeted the way I was, and really went into, I wouldn't say, I didn't see myself as a victim, but I felt victimized. I felt, and so anyways, so it's lovely to see somebody like yourself that has had some maybe not so good experiences, and be able to come and share publicly that, you are aware that you made the agreement, and, and being able to speak of stories like laughing and giggling with off-world beings, and knowing that they have a sense of humor. You don't, so I've heard it from others a few times, but it feels, it's well received from you. I'll say that, if that makes sense. Right. So can I ask you that? So, okay. I know that you've gone public about being cloned. If you don't mind me asking you a little bit about that. Well, I mean, so we hear all this stuff about, Hollywood and clones, and politicians and clones. And when did you become aware that you were cloned? And another question I want to ask you is, were you enhanced with any particular skill sets or gifts from being cloned? If that, right? Does that make sense?
No, I understand.
Okay.
I prefer to use the term copy.
Okay.
So, because a clone indicates like thousands of one thing, right? Many, many, many copies. But when you copy a human, in this application anyway, it's all I can speak of is my experience. I was copied. My DNA was copied, and I had copies of myself in storage. I didn't do it, but the military did. Because if something happened to me, my consciousness and memory could be moved into that copy. It was a clone, but it was a clone that could only accept the consciousness of me, because it's the same frequency. Your memory, your consciousness, your soul is rooted in the pineal gland. The pineal gland has calcite crystals in it, and it's under like a hydraulic pressure, for lack of better explanation. And it puts pressure on those calcite crystals. And when you put pressure on a crystal, what do? You get an electrical charge.
Sure.
It's like with quartz, and we use it all the time. So this electrical charge runs your nervous system, but it's also that electrical charge that your consciousness is connected to. Your soul is rooted there, because it's the power center of your body. So that's a certain frequency, right? So your DNA is at a certain frequency. Every single human being that has ever lived and ever will live has a different frequency.
Sure.
Because they're very minute changes, but it's enough that it matters and makes you who you are. So a clone, you can put even false, like artificial intelligence in it, and they'll operate. But a copy is a copy of a single individual, and the only consciousness that can go into it at our level is the frequency, which is the soul and the spirit and the memory of an individual.
So let me just respond for a minute. because I could probably talk to you all night long because you're really, just so you know. So it's intriguing to me that you mentioned that the soul is uh, centered in the pineal gland.
Mhm.
The reason I say that is because I remember being chased around and they had these long prongs like this, and they were trying to put them in both sides of my head. I got away from them, and then next thing you know, I was hanging by my feet, tied to a tree, and being pushed. And they were trying to push me into this tree or electrical board of some sort. It's like pushing a kid on a swing, and every time I swing back, you push it, and I flipped up, untied my feet, and got away. They tried to take my soul and put it into another body, but I made it back to my body
Mhm.
during this, what I
Yeah.
experienced.
Now
And
go ahead.
well, no, I mean, so now that you say that, because I've always heard that the soul is like almost like a football shape that sits here.
Hmm.
So I've heard different, but it makes more sense to me what you just said, especially with the electrical charge. Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about me, Chris, but I can't help but want to respond
No.
to you because I've not been able to. I mean, I've never heard that before,
Yeah.
and I know I have AI that runs through my body, but I know I have a soul
Of
without it.
course you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know I
Well,
was augmented, and I
I'll
believe. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm
I'll,
sorry.
I'll explain really quickly because I want to get back to what your experience is with those rods because I want to explain that to you. But before I explain that to you, I got to explain to you how it is that I'm familiar with transference of soul and
Okay.
consciousness.
I
Um,
appreciate that. Yep.
in my experience, literally in the Earth-based space programs, we used a device. You introduced it as the Deems device. It's my version of the device that we used off planet. Okay. The device used off planet could take your consciousness and your memories and pull it out. Okay. But I didn't want to do that with the device because it could do a lot of other things. So I built it that it could never do that. But what they would do is very, very simple. So, like I said, the only place they can put your consciousness and your memories is in stasis because they can adjust a frequency in a stasis field and put your consciousness there, but it only lasts for like 2 weeks. And then it just dissipates and goes back to its origin. Or they can have a copy of you. If they have a copy of you, your copy is the frequency that your pineal gland originally connected to, your soul connected to in the pineal gland. So they would use this device, they would click it, put it right against the temple, and there was like a little blue stone on it. For me, anyway, they changed the stones out depending on the frequency that they needed to use. So they'd use, I think it was lapis. It looked like lapis. I don't know for sure what it was, but I remember what it looked like, and it looked like lapis lazuli. So they would put it right against my temple and push a button. They could pull my consciousness, my memories, my soul, and everything out of that pineal gland. Okay. But the only place they can put it is either in stasis, which only lasted a couple of weeks, or a copy of this body because I have the same frequency as the original. And then they would take it over, release the button, and they would just suck right into the pineal gland because the pineal gland then was the closest source of that frequency. Okay. So it was really a very good transfer of soul and consciousness and memory. It was painless and it was not a problem. The beings that you were dealing with, because they were wanting to move you into a being that was not of your frequency, was not at your pineal frequency, they had to take the whole pineal gland, or at least a part of it. Because then they could tune into the frequency and put a false frequency in a new being. That's most likely what they were trying to do.
Wait, say that again. You just said, okay.
Yeah, I know.
I'm seeing this in my head, having my memory, and then thinking of. Okay, so
Yeah.
please repeat
So,
that if you don't mind.
okay. The way we moved memory and consciousness, and my consciousness was moved into a new body because I was killed, was through that little device that I was telling you that looks
Mhm.
like a Deems device. And it was painless and it was easy. But it was because I was being moved into a copy of this body
Mhm.
of the same frequency. So it would easily transfer.
I
Okay.
got you.
Okay. They were trying to move you into a different being that did not have that frequency. It was false. It was fake, right?
Right.
So they needed a piece of that
So did they
ideal
get it,
plan.
Chris? Did they get a piece of it? I just remember there was two look like spokes. They were long and they tried to do this.
Did they
And
accomplish getting it into your head?
I don't think so because I remember getting away, but I was hung by my feet and they were.
I would say they did not accomplish it because you're still aware in the
Yeah.
same body you were in.
Yeah, I do. I was told they tried to take my soul from out of my body and put it in
Yeah.
another body, but I did. You were that. Actually, it was Simon Parks who I spoke with. But I
Mm.
don't want to get too much. I'd love to talk to you off camera. I mean, after your, because I'd love to understand. You know, I've been trying to understand what happened to me and why it happened. And I did have a Kundalini activation in 2011, and so I was using telepathy with people. I was creating and manifesting out of thought. I knew people enjoyed being in my field because they would gravitate, like I was extremely magnetic.
Mm.
And I just knew I felt really good. And I
Yeah.
was writing a book and they didn't want me writing that book. But
Mm.
anyways,
No, it
so
makes perfect sense.
yeah. So Chris, I'm fascinated by your story. You know, I didn't become familiar with you until I went to Orlando, and many people were really hoping for you to show up there. I can tell you that. One of the ladies was on your YouTube channel. She flew over from the UK just to see you and was very upset that you weren't there.
Yeah,
But
that's why I went the last day, just to
yeah,
meet those
I had to
people.
leave, so yeah,
You know,
I didn't get to meet you. But
I was accused of trying to be a troublemaker, but I'm like, no, the conference is over.
yeah,
People paid to see me and they were refused a refund.
mhm.
So I felt out of just consciousness. I mean, I wasn't there because I didn't want to be there. I was there because I was kicked out.
I understand.
And people that came to see me, it wasn't their fault. And they weren't receiving refunds, even though they requested it. So I thought, well, I'm going to go on my own dime. You know, once the conference is technically over, and I'm just going to go be available to meet anybody that wanted to come. And that's
You
all
are
I did.
so kind, Chris. And I'm not saying that to listen. I mean, as you know, um, we get to know each other more, or I hope to continue to be able to engage with you, and maybe I don't know, but I think you're amazing. I just want you to know that.
Well,
I
thank
really
you.
mean that. And I've been telling everybody about the Deems device. So we got the gist of we know that you were in the SSP, and I encourage everybody that listens to this video, go to Chris's YouTube channel. You could just put in Chris O'Connor and it will pop up, and I'll make sure that all his contact information is added to the video on YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah.
But this thing is amazing. Okay.
Yeah, it
And
is.
I can tell you, can we jump to this now? I mean,
Sure, whatever you like.
because otherwise, if we keep talking about SSP, not that I don't want to hear more about you, and I definitely do, but it's causing thoughts of my own stuff that I've experienced, and I really don't want to talk about me. I want to hear more about you. So just being, yeah. So guys, so I don't like to have it too close to the computer, but I said I'll do it just so I can show you guys this. So it has one side is gold and one side is silver. And I noticed that the silver side is the side that feels like it's pulling, where the
Yeah.
gold
Pulls
where the
from
gold,
you.
yes, and the gold, you literally can feel, especially when I use it on my feet. It's like I can feel this running up and down my legs from the energy that's my nervous system that's being affected by it. And I think and I will tell you, I did it this morning. So I've only started out with like 2 minutes on each chakra, about 5 minutes on my feet, and maybe, a couple more minutes on my crown chakra. And I left the house feeling amazing. Like, today is going to be a fantastic day. I was like, it was
Nothing like having the chakras balanced.
yeah, it was mind blowing. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I love it. Really.
Yeah.
So please tell us more. Okay, so you had a download of the device, and I understand this goes back, possibly the technology is from Greece is that right? Or
Technically, the technology's
in Greece
been around for millions of years with
Yeah.
other races on other planets. It was
Okay.
brought to Earth. I don't know the exact date, of course, but it's probably about 13,000 years ago. And that was previous. It's like when Mu was still around, when Lemuria was still here, when Atlantis was still here. They had this technology because it's magnetic and crystalline technology, which all high technology is either crystals or magnets. That's it. There are a lot of variations of it, but that's all it is. High propulsion, intergalactic travel, anything you can imagine is based in magnets and crystals. Okay. So that was the whole impetus of this. Now, originally, I was in meditation a few years ago, and suddenly just popped into my brain the DEEMS device. I didn't know it as a DEEMS, but I saw a picture of it. I knew everything. I knew how it worked. Everything in a split second. I originally thought that was a download. Turns out it was really of a memory unlock. Because I worked with it previously.
Right. Okay. But to get the mechanics of it and how to down to the details,
it was instantly all there.
That's pretty amazing. And it's possible that you may have set it up for you to have that memory at a certain time in your life in order to, because
I believe that entirely. Absolutely. Because we create our entire life. I'm doing a talk in 2 days in North Carolina, and that's what all this is about. It's about we create our own life. We have soul families and near-death experiences and all that. So my brain's there right now, but the technology when it came in, like I said, I instantly knew everything about it, but I also knew what not to do, which was really interesting. And I didn't understand why that is. Why do I know don't do this when you're building it, and don't do this when you're building it? Like, okay, I won't, but turns out that if I had done those things, that I would have created a device that could have moved your memory, erased your memory.
Oh, wow.
Or taken your soul out of your body. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness I didn't do any of that.
Oh, yeah, right. We'd be in big trouble.
Oh my God, it has been horrible. But basically it was just, there was fail safes where it's like, okay, you're remembering everything about it, but don't build it in this way so that it'll only be a device of energy balancing and healing, which was the goal, right?
Did you, real quickly, did you have to go through several drafts of this No, I didn't think so, but I figured I'd ask just in case.
I did have to figure out how to build it in certain ways, just physiologically how to do certain things. But the basics of it, I knew immediately. And I also knew that they were going to have diamonds ultimately, and they were going to have gold ultimately. So that's why recently I started putting 8 carats of little microscopic little tiny diamonds in each one. So now when people buy one, they have 8 carats of diamonds.
Well, I'm not big on, I don't care about diamonds. I'm not a diamond person, but I love the frequency. I mean, if it's adding to the frequency for it to where I love that.
Focusing.
And so, and you have this in silver and you have this in gold. Now I bought the gold because I figured if you are going to upgrade, it's going to be in 5 years. So I figured I'll wait. I'd rather get the more advanced one, if you will. I mean, I know that you mentioned that they pretty much are the same, except what is the difference between the silver and the gold?
Well, the silver is nickel plating. Okay. The original one didn't have any diamonds in it. Now, diamonds aren't in there just to say there's diamonds in it. Diamonds.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's
diamonds focus, universal, source, 0-point energy.
Okay, so let me ask you this real quick, because some people I've heard, and I could be wrong, that diamonds are actually made from the bones of people that have died and been buried in the earth. And is that not true?
I've never heard of that. They are built of carbon, and we are carbon based. I mean,
right. So, and people have said that, and some will create diamonds out of their deceased, whatever, and make a piece
well,
of
I know
jewelry.
you can do that.
Yeah.
You can make a diamond now. And you can make it out of any source of carbon. And if you're going to use their ashes, that's a source of carbon.
Yeah.
But the original diamonds, I would say no, that they're not necessarily that, because carbon is in many forms.
Yeah.
You know, it might take a whole forest, you know, boil down to make a decent diamond in the earth.
Yeah.
You know, but those are built, those diamonds are done miles below the surface because they need the heat and pressure.
So you said that 0 point.
Yeah. The thing about diamonds is it's the most dense material, crystalline material. Mm-hmm. Any crystal will focus, source, and universal and 0-point energy. The more dense and aligned the crystalline structure of what you're using, the better and stronger it focuses it. So we use diamonds because you can't get more focused than a diamond, because diamonds are the hardest material that we have on Earth. Mm-hmm. So it focuses the energies that we use for healing and balancing ourselves. So what all it really did was it took the original Deems device, refocused it in a more laser-like way. But the interesting thing is, even though they're much stronger with the diamonds in them, they're more gentle, which I was really surprised. You know, and so that's why there's diamonds in them.
Yeah.
Now,
I absolutely love it. I mean, I've been telling everybody about Stephanie, she wanted me to mention, she was like, tell him that I love my device. Do you know Stephanie Chambliss? She was on one of your group shows. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And she has because I was like, I got the gold. And she was like, I'm jealous. I said, well, you'll have to get an upgrade, my lady. But she loves hers. When I very first saw it, I had met her in North Carolina at someone's home. I won't mention now, but and she had it, and I was like, what is that? She was using it, laying it on her head and doing all. And she was telling me this thing is like saved my life and it's helped me so much. And I've healed so much of myself. And I didn't think much of it. I'm like, okay, this girl, I had just met her and I was like, oh, another device, somebody's, whatever.
Another crazy thing out there.
Now I know for sure, from my own experience, it's pretty fascinating. And I do want to help. So I do ionic detoxes, removing toxins from people's bodies with CBD massage. And this thing's going to come in handy to get people, especially on their feet, to get their energy flowing. And then eventually, once I learn how to use it in a way that I feel safe and comfortable with, to be able to offer people, some maybe, yeah.
Well, when I do healing sessions with the Deems, I use the vortex side, which in this case with yours is the gold side, and I push energy in their feet first.
Okay.
And then I go to their crown and I use the opposite side, which is the silver side, which is the non-vortex side. It means it's drawing energy into it on the crown. And then when it's on the crown, it pulls energy out, right? So you're pushing in the feet, pulling it out the crown, and you're creating an energy flow in the body.
Interesting. I'm going to remember that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really important, actually.
Yeah.
And then you go to each chakra, and then you work in whatever.
And you
area.
do this. You do it the same way with each chakra.
Well, with each chakra,
You push in and then pull out.
I'll pull energy out. So with yours, it would be the silver side facing the body.
Mm-hmm.
I have people laying down, and I'll put it on each chakra for 1 minute to 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then pull energy through it because I've already primed the pump and a bunch of energy is flowing through the body, right? Because we already did the feet.
I see. Okay. Okay. I got it now.
Through each chakra. And then those that are able can read the chakras and see which one needs work and what we need to do with it. And then I put energy into each chakra, often using stones of the same color or
which I'll be ordering soon because Chris also has, guys. I'm preparing to order it. Crystals that have little magnets on the bottom side of it that automatically connects to the Deems device. So it would go here, it would connect to the Deems, and it looks like a little pyramid. And you would use it on the different. Now I can't read chakras. So now you've got me wondering whether it's a smart thing to offer because I wouldn't know if their chakra. I am going to be taking Reiki 1 and 2, but that's going to take a little time for me to practice. And because I really, want people to at least, even if I get my clients to see the benefits or experience the benefits, then they could just come to and have it for themselves in their home and help. I have no problem with that. I mean, I would love to see more people get it and use it because I think it's important for us to clear our energy. I mean, I've got bells in here. This is my office. You can't really see it, but I've got all kinds of stuff in here and nothing comes close to this. And that's the truth. So.
Yeah. And that the grand purpose of a Deems isn't for me to make money. Because to be honest, I don't have any. I give most of it away. So it's not about that.
I know that, Chris. I know that. And you gave me you were very kind to me and gave me a very generous discount. And I want to say that to people. Not that he can do that for everybody. It's not up to, but.
I do it when I can. Yeah.
You do it when you can. And I think, I'm just meeting you, like getting to know you or, connecting with you in this way. And I know in my heart of hearts that you're a good guy, right? I don't feel that there's any self-serving anything about you.
Yeah.
So, and I love that because I do my best to be as selfless and helpful to people as I can.
Yeah.
So when I meet somebody that has that same kind of energy, it's always lovely to me and it feels good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just remember my mission, and so that really is helpful for me.
So your mission is what, Chris? What is your mission?
Is to help the whole of humanity evolve into the full fourth density experience. My race does it time and time again, planet after planet. We incarnate, we try to raise the vibration from third to fourth density so that they can have all of this themselves.
Okay, but what race are you connected to?
That is very interesting. They've blocked that for me, and I'm pretty sure I chose that.
Okay.
And so it's like not appropriate for me to even guess. I have ideas. But for some reason, there's a reason that I've chosen not to remember that. Okay. I can see, I know what they look like, and I know certain things about them. But
are they humanoid?
It used to be.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're energy now.
Okay.
So
yeah.
So basically, like the Deems is a tool. The Deems isn't meant to be the end of the journey. The Deems is to take people that have never heard of working with energy or that have, but want to enhance the work they're doing, and let them understand that they can do anything a Deems or any other thing can do with their mind. We have the capacity as beings to manifest everything we want. Good health, wealth, whatever it might be, right? Usually when you can do that, wealth, it doesn't mean anything. But so the Deems is simply a tool to help people remember they have the power for themselves. That's all it is.
I love that. Yeah. Well, I think it's important, that, and we have to be responsible for ourselves and make choices to live a healthier lifestyle and to strengthen our hearts and minds to be able to be live by example and to help guide people back to themselves, really. Because I think,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm not this is only my perspective, but I believe my soul self is the source within me. It's not external to me, it's within me. And I always point to my North Star, which would be this way. Well, to you, it looks backward, but it would be going that way. And I put my hands out and say, I release any energy that I've taken knowingly or unknowingly, right? Because sometimes, even though the conscious mind might not, it's not like I walk around and say, I want to take energy from people, but
Right.
subconsciously, we may do things that we're not
Consciously
conscious
aware.
of. Yeah, consciously aware of. And I don't, it's not my business to do that. So I freely give it back. And I call all of my energy back to me and ask for guidance, strength, courage, and confidence to be the best I can be. And I tell you, I walked out this house feeling really good this morning. So I did. I really did.
That's
And
wonderful.
yeah, I'm so thankful. Now, I have a question though. So you said, so if I'm not able to see chakras and like feel, because I don't have so Zyra, I'll mention her name. She owns a holistic office that I work at part-time, and she does Reiki. She's going to be teaching me Reiki 1 and 2. She's a Reiki master. I don't want to harm people. So maybe I should just hold off on doing any chakra stuff. Maybe I could just do the feet, like infuse them with energy and maybe pull out, but not necessarily work on the chakras. So I learn more Reiki and being able to tune into the chakras. Are you suggesting that is my question, Chris? I mean,
Well,
because
I would say it can never really hurt a chakra to be recharged.
okay.
So you don't really have to know what you're doing if you do just the basic chakra balance I kind of described. And there's a video, I don't remember what I called it. I think I called it chakra balancing.
I watched it with the lady
Yeah.
laying on the floor. I've been watching, like, what's it called when you watch a bunch of videos and
yeah. I know what you mean.
yeah, you know what I mean. And well, this might be cool to you. I had a picture done of my aura.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of blue.
I am a Plejarian, not Pleiadian. It seems that stays, and I have some purple hue going around the head a little bit, but anyways, I love these kinds of conversations. I think so. How about, I know that people that have like pacemakers and metal and so forth, it's not recommended to use it on them. I've read your manual, the book, and I definitely want to I'm going to be getting the crystals in the very near future. I really want to be able to introduce this to people like in my local area and see if I can, get people to feel like I did this morning and see what they think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing that works. I mean, we're not out in the grass barefoot nearly enough.
Well, that's right.
And because we are beings that came from the soil of the earth, we came from the earth, through our mothers eating food that was grown on the earth, we have the vibration of the earth. That vibration is the vibration that heals our body. So that's why animals, you could see, I mean, I have deer around here that you could tell cougars or mountain lions have ripped parts of their skin off, and they're just walking around.
No, I don't like that.
Well, but it's nature, right?
Yeah, I know,
but they survive and they continue on, and it grows back, and it grows back at pretty remarkable rate. Human been injured like that have been 2-3 times as long, because those deer, those animals are constantly grounded to the earth. And that's where the healing comes from. And that's where the DEEMS comes in. It replaces us, not running around barefoot.
Right. Well, and I think that's with the chemtrails being sprayed. And then where I live in an apartment development, and they spray pesticides more than enough. And we have some stray cats, and we have ducks here and turtles and all kinds of, I mean, I take pictures and put them on Facebook all the time. I mean, I love them. We have a pond I go down and walk around, and I love nature too, Chris. And I would love to be, but I remember being a kid, I was barefooted every chance I got. And even now I wear well, Zyra teases me all the time because I come in the office with flip-flops or sandals on. He's like, it's like 20 degrees outside because it's been cold here. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't like stuff on my feet. I love to be able to walk barefooted, but I am mindful when I don't walk outside, because it's just this grass, not here. Now, there's other areas that I love to go, or if I go by the pond, I'll stand there just for maybe 3-4 minutes, just and just focus in and get myself just connected and say thank you and go on about my day. So my point is, this is lovely to, not that we want to have to substitute, right? Because nature is but it's good to have a device that we can get what we need. And
not everybody can go out barefoot.
Yeah, but that's right.
There's many people with limitations. But what people don't understand is it takes about 15 to 30 seconds for your body to ground itself to the earth. Meaning that you're suddenly pulling in all these different electrons from the earth. I didn't know
that. I'm glad.
That's all it takes. Yeah. But it's better to do it like 10 minutes. But
yeah.
But it takes no time at all. Your body is totally primed to ground.
Can I ask you a question? Because I meant to ask this earlier. Now it's coming back into my mind. Because I have AI that runs through my body, and I'm pretty open about this. I know I was augmented when I was. And I may have been, augmented thousands of years ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago, because we know the some call the Pleiadians, Plagiarians, did use AI for their bodies, and I'm still learning a little bit about that. And I have a friend, Wynn Keach, who's amazing, who's helped me get a better understanding, because because I know I have a soul, and I know I went through a Kundalini activation. I know that I'm not a machine, because that really bothered me for some time. I've seen this implant in my right eye since I was as far back as I can remember, when I was a baby or a child laying out in the sun and playing in the sun. Or if I laid out, I would roll, what is this? But I thought, right now I can see it. It's right here. It's in my, especially if I look at computers, screens of any kind in a light, or if I'm laying out in the sun with my eyes closed, I could see I roll it around. And I was told it was a scorpion implant. My sister Karen told me I was left at the hospital left at the hospital the first 3 days of my life. I was left there because they said I had an infection in my right eye tear duct. Now, she doesn't know that I have an implant there. And I'm and I was thinking, tell me more, right? Because I'm trying to Yeah. And she was like, "Oh yeah, you had an infection in your right eye tear duct, and we had to leave you at the hospital. And Mom brought you back, and there's 15 years between me and I'm the youngest at 12, Chris.
Wow.
Yeah. I believe my mother was used for breeding, but that's a whole nother thing. She was an amazing woman. Um, but anyway, so and then I noticed some things in my right eye. But my point is, I wonder if this could disable, like if you have implants or um, anything like that. Like,
Well, it would be difficult to say because many implants are outside the frequency of Earth. So it's just like slightly off frequency. So you might even be able to feel them. I mean, I have friends that have implants, and you can like feel them under the skin and stuff. But they're built to work through pretty much anything. A high magnetic field, the device may or may not be enough, to disable it.
yeah.
I think really what disables most, say like the black goo that runs through, which is an AI system that can run through some people, and implants. What disables them is for the individual to raise their personal vibration as high as possible. And the more they raise that vibration, you move out of the frequency that device works in.
Yeah, because I have so I believe they put, I remember my head being pulled on all night, and my sister called me, and I didn't even say hello, Frida, nothing. I said something's been pulling on my head all night. I just remember the sensation of pulling on my head, and I believe there was a lady that was on uh Alfred Webry's show. I don't know if you know who Alfred Webry. He does exopolitics and stuff, but I have a small clip of it because I'm getting a presentation put together, and she mentioned about AI and something that they do at the base of the neck here. So I'm just trying to get more understanding because, I mean, I said no to a flu shot 1,000 times and turned around and took a flu shot. And then they sent a guy, Rick, from the Air Force that Laura Eisenhower told me, Ida, he's a shapeshifting reptilian, stay away from him. But I kept letting him in my house. And I hadn't seen him for like a month. And I remember being out in Arizona visiting with my sister. And I woke up, she had a casita, which is like a little house next to the house that and I came outside and it smelled like the worst urine I've never smelled anything, but it smelled like urine, like musky urine. And I know that other people have mentioned that that's common for when Draco's are around. And I got back home and I hadn't spoke to him in I don't know how long. And he came banging at my door. And I'm like, how'd you get in the building? I lived in a secured building and there was cameras everywhere and whatever. I ended up giving him the damn, I changed my Wi-Fi. I knew that's how they were doing abductions. And damn enough, I saw my body hanging and I heard, like I was next to the cockpit in the helicopter. And I let them take me and they lifted me off my couch. And I was like this, laying straight out. And I felt this rolling going up and down my body. And they were shutting my light body down. I'm confident that's what they did. Yeah.
Wow.
So just, yeah.
Kind of a terrifying scenario.
Yeah. I'm over it. I mean, I speak about it, not so matter of fact now, but I just, I say this is my perspective. It's like, if you're not prepared to have a Kundalini activation and be fully lit, and because they're not letting you walk around like that. I don't care who you are. Like they're coming after you, especially women. And I hold a particular DNA. So I know that played a big part in it. And, yeah. I mean, James Casbolt. Are you familiar with James Casbolt?
It sounds familiar. I can't
In the
recall.
UK, he did. Miles Johnson brought him and Max Spears out.
Okay.
But he talked about them taking women to Saturn and sacrificing them. And I knew he knew what he was talking about because how he was explaining it is what I remember happening to me. So yeah, but again, I'm here and I'm alive, and I just for a long time, and I'll just be quiet after this about it. And I don't want to keep you too long. I know it's 8:08, and I usually run about 90 minutes. So, but I would love to have you come back and get deeper into the secret space program and Dark Fleet and so forth. But I definitely wanted people to know about this, and I'll make sure that I get all your links for people to be able to contact you if they're interested. But what I was going to say, I'm getting a little anxiety, and I'm not really sure why, but nothing bad. I just get, it's still, so I've done a lot of healing on myself, Chris, but I still get, sometimes a little, anxious and yeah. And
psychic attacks,
I'm sorry.
I refer to them as psychic attacks. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
When you have a bright light, or even a light in the world, a soul, a person, and their actions are positive, you kind of become a target. And I don't get as many attacks as I used to, but I still get attacked.
Yeah.
But now that I understand them, I know that these thoughts aren't mine. I know this anxiety is not mine. It's a lie being placed in my brain. So then I was able to manage them much more easily. So I understand what you're saying. You may be, having some negative energy that's coming in, trying to change the subject, or, control the light that you're emitting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's on a more positive note now that I appreciate your kindness and patience in hearing me, because that's why I did, when I started this, I said I want to have what I call cosmic conversations. I want to have discussions and with people, and I want to understand and even, I know my life is learning every day, and I'll never know everything, and I'm not looking to know everything, but I would like to become, I want to educate myself, and I want to be at least aware in my consciousness about certain things, and especially with stuff, healing modalities and things that can help people. That is, I believe that's what, people talk about, well, I'm trying to figure out what my purpose is. And I was like that too. And I still question, am I in alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing? And I just feel like if I help one person, I've served my purpose. I don't need to be out here trying to, save the world. I felt like I was responsible for that at one time when I had my awakening, because it was just jarring to find out all the stuff that I was, and then to come to terms with that, maybe you had some past lives that weren't so kind, Ida, and you had some. What do you think about karma? What do you think about the idea of karma?
It's interesting because karma, especially in the Western world, even in the Eastern world, they speak of karma in a way that sounds like judgment. Like karma is here to judge you for your actions. Well, there is no judgment. There's one message I can put out there is there is no judgment. There's only understanding of your actions. Okay. So, like, for example, when you die, you go into a healing process in the Devakan, which is the blissful realm, basically is in Buddhism. And then you go through this process of reviewing your life and all of your decisions. And you're not being judged for it. You're reviewing it so that you can understand why you made those choices. And you can choose to change those choices later on, especially in your next incarnation. So it isn't judgment. And karma is not judgment, because judgment doesn't exist. It's a great lie that's been told for thousands of years.
Well, okay. Okay. No, please finish. Go ahead. I want to hear it.
All karma is what we hold in ourselves for our actions. You know, so all we have to do is we don't have to live an entire life because we lived a life of negativity the last time. That's not how it works. You are supporting source. You're supporting God in every experience that you have, whether it's good or bad. It's valid information being sent to source. That's why there's no judgment, because good or bad, your actions support the purpose of the soul's journey, which is to experience for source. So how could there be judgment? How could there be karma if we're given free will to do what we choose to do, right? So all karma is what we hold for our actions in our own soul. So we judge ourselves.
For
We
sure.
don't forgive ourselves for our actions. All we have to do, so you have a conflict with somebody, all you have to do is forgive yourself, which frees them of karmic action and you of karmic action. You don't even have to forgive yourself to be freed of karmic action. The other person can forgive you and forgive themselves, and that frees you from karmic action. Karmic action is an energy that we put into our field based on our actions. All we got to do is let it go.
Okay. There's some things that I've really had a tough time forgiving myself for. And I'm still doing, I'm actually moving into more of a finally, I feel like I'm a little behind in my development because I was so angry and so upset about what I experienced. And yeah. And I sat with that anger and that resentment for a long time. And I'm just now getting to the point where I'm like, okay, it's not hurting anybody else, but you, Ida.
Yeah.
So I'm doing some, have you ever done Kambo? Have you ever done plant medicine, Chris?
I haven't. Yeah. It's not for me.
Yeah.
Personally. Yeah. I don't judge it, but it's not for me.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I don't do, I mean, I do it, but it's far and few between. And I've only done it a couple times. Well, microdosing, I think, is fantastic for people, especially to get the brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. But definitely. I'm talking about Kambo. I've never tried it, but I understand that the medicine runs through the body. And wherever you have trapped energy or an anger, resentment, wherever it is, it will latch on in that area and basically burn it. Like it requires from you to release, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, yeah. But I've never done it, so I'll see how that goes. But I want to thank you for coming on. Where can people reach you? I don't want to keep you because I'll just keep talking to you because I enjoy talking to you and I don't want to keep you all night. Where can people reach you? Please share that. I will make sure that your contact information is on my YouTube channel and on the Facebook page so that people can reach out.
Well, the easiest way to directly contact me is through email. And that is deemsdevice@gmail.com. So it's DEEMSDEVICE@gmail.com. You send me an email there, or you can go to deemscompany.com. And at the very bottom of that page, there's a few emails you can use to contact. So
very good. Everybody go check out the Deems Device on, you can Google it. And I think if you feel like you can't get it for yourself right now, maybe save up for it because you're going to be thinking me later or you'll be thinking Chris. And, share this video out, let people know that there is technology that people like Chris are bringing out so that we can have tools that can assist us in our healing process. And I think that's so important. I so appreciate you. Oh, thank you, Chris, for coming on. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
And if you don't mind, just stick around just for a few minutes when we end it. I just want to talk to you about something. We'll
Okay.
Guys, thank you so much. Those of you, we actually don't have any listeners this evening. Oh, wait, is there a comment there and I didn't catch it? No. Yes, how interesting. There's a place that you can use cremated ashes into stones. We do have one listener. That's Jennifer Nunez, and she's awesome. I love her. She's amazing.
Cool. Thank you for being here.
And I've told her about the Deems device, and she's so excited. So maybe she'll be, well, I'll see her at the conference. And I'm even thinking to take it to the conference. Okay, look, now that you've agreed, I can say that. We have a conference coming up. Sorry, guys. I know I'm a little all over the place here, but my heart I mean well. We have a conference coming up called Disclosure Now, and Chris is just kindly accepted the invite, and he is going to be a speaker at Disclosure Now. And soon I will have a banner up with the conference, the website link, so that it's easily accessible, or you can go on YouTube, or I'm sorry, Facebook, and pull up Disclosure Now, and you can check out our speakers list. We have amazing people. We have Christopher O'Connor with the Deems Device. We have Tony Rodriguez, Carrie Cassidy, Miles Johnson, Laura Eisenhower, Drago Reed, Archie. I mean, we have a freaking amazing lineup. I'm telling you. And it's going to be a ball. And then we have the Day of Being, which is a sister event that's a couple days before the actual conference. So go to the Facebook page and check it out if you guys, decide you want to join us. And I hope you do. Chris, again, thank you for coming on. I'm going to go ahead and end the live, and then we'll chat for a couple minutes.
Okay. Bye.